Welcome to the deep dive. Wow, the global TV, film, and media industries. It feels like a bit of a whirlwind right now, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, just looking at the news lately, you've got everything from huge casting announcements
Right, and production buzz.
all the way to these really significant shifts in how the business actually works. And the money, always the money discussions.
Absolutely. So, what we've done is sift through a whole bunch of the latest industry roundups covering TV, film, the whole media picture, really.
Yeah, trying to pull out what's genuinely interesting, what feels insightful, basically giving you a fast track to understanding the key stuff that's shaping things right now.
Think of it as your cheat sheet. So, you're instantly well informed, and we've got some really fascinating ground to cover.
Definitely. Some pretty surprising casting choices, I thought.
Yeah, and like the different ways comedy's being approached, the challenges there.
Uh-huh. Plus, those ongoing debates, supporting local talent versus maybe bigger international projects.
That tension, yeah. And some really interesting new directions for streaming as well.
So, yeah, hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a much clearer picture of what's going on.
Ready to get into it?
Let's do it. Maybe start with unpacking some of that casting news. It's often the first sort of concrete sign of where things are headed.
Good idea. Okay, Doctor Who fans, big news. Millie Gibson is confirmed back as Ruby Sunday for season 15.
Wow, that was quick, wasn't it? Since the Christmas special debut.
Incredibly quick. She even mentioned, how fast TV production moves these days.
Right. And it sounds like she's straight back into the thick of it. Unit reunion, a new threat.
Exactly. That kind of quick return, it really speaks to keeping that continuity, keeping familiar faces for the audience, doesn't it? Especially in those big franchises.
Yeah, and it says something about her experience too, right? To go from just being introduced to being so central, so fast,
Yeah.
that's intense.
Totally. Then, shifting gears slightly, Lewis Pullman, he's landed a villain role in Marvel's Thunderbolts.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he's been quite reflective about getting there, talking about timing, experience, even joking about some, let's say, less polished early stuff.
Huh. Relatable for many, I imagine.
Right. And he credited learning from industry veterans. Plus, his dad is Bill Pullman.
Oh, of course, Bill Pullman. Yeah, that connection's there.
It's a nice reminder that experience, both yours and maybe what you learn from others, it often plays a big part in these moments.
That's a really good point. And his reflections, they probably resonate, in lots of creative fields, that whole honing your craft, waiting for the right moment thing.
Definitely. Okay, moving into comedy. Julianne Nicholson, we know her from these really powerful dramatic roles, right? Mayor of Easttown, Masters of Sex.
Absolutely. Fantastic dramatic actress.
Well, she's taking a comedic turn in Hacks season 4, playing someone called Dance Mom, described as a very energetic influencer type.
Whoa, okay, that's a switch. A fresh twist, as the writers apparently called it.
Yeah, and it brings up that interesting dynamic for us watching. Are we meant to be laughing with her or kind of at her, you know?
That's always the line, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially with characters who are maybe a bit much. Her drama background might actually add something interesting there, maybe some unexpected depth.
Could be. Also on the comedy front, a casting change Rachel Sennett's HBO series. Josh Hutcherson is now in the lead cast.
Replacing Miles Robbins, right?
Yeah. Apparently it was because the characters evolved during writing. The show's about codependent friends reuniting.
Ah, okay. So the dynamic shifted, maybe.
Seems like it just shows how fluid these projects can be, right? Before they actually, get locked in.
Exactly. Character development doesn't stop when the script is first written, especially in TV. Recasting suggests a pretty significant change, I'd think.
For sure. Now, a bit of nostalgia perhaps. Alice Halsey, you might know her from Lessons in Chemistry or Days of Our Lives.
Uh-huh.
She's been cast as Laura Ingalls in the Netflix Little House on the Prairie reboot.
Wow, okay. Big shoes to fill.
Huh.
How are they describing this, Laura?
Courageous, curious, strong-willed, even challenging authority back on the 19th century frontier.
Interesting. So aiming for a portrayal that maybe resonates more now,
Yeah.
while still being Laura Ingalls.
Seems like it. Casting someone like Halsey, who's had recent buzz, signals they want to bring a contemporary feel, maybe?
Yeah, it's always a tricky balance, rebooting something so beloved, emphasizing her strength, questioning authority. That feels quite current.
Definitely. And finally, on casting, get ready for this reunion, Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock.
No way. Together again.
Yes. For a romantic thriller at Amazon MGM script by Noah Oppenheim, he wrote Jackie, Zero Day.
Okay, that's a compelling combination. Keanu. Sandra, romantic thriller. Any plot details?
They're keeping it under wraps, apparently, but just that pairing, the history there, Speed, the lake house,
That's instant interest, isn't it? Their chemistry is proven. Calling it propulsive suggests high stakes, too.
totally got my attention. Okay, so shifting from who's in things to how things are trying to be funny, seeing some really different approaches to comedy coming up.
Yeah, it's always fascinating, the different flavors of humor and the challenges creators face.
Exactly. Like, take The Four Seasons, this new Netflix series from Tracy Wigfield and Lang Fisher. They're 30 Rock veterans, right, working with Tina Fey.
Right. Super sharp, joke-a-minute kind of background.
But for this show, based on the 81 movie about three couples vacationing over a year, they're finding it a different challenge.
How so?
They said because it's more grounded, more about relationships, they can't just rely on a constant barrage of jokes. The focus shifts to, like, authenticity, getting the tone right for the humor.
Well, that makes sense. It's a different skill, right? Finding humor in believable interactions rather than just punchlines suggests maybe aiming for something with a bit more depth.
Seems that way. Then, on the other end of the spectrum, perhaps, you've got Splitsville, Michelangelo Covino's film from Cannes. Neon's releasing it.
Okay, what's the premise there?
It sounds intense. A guy getting divorced seeks support from friends, but then crosses a line in their open marriage.
Ooh, okay. Awkward comedy potential is high there.
Right. Dakota Johnson, Nicholas Braun are in it. Sounds like it's leaning into that uncomfortable, boundary-pushing kind of humor, exploring messy, modern relationships.
Yeah, that sounds like it could be darkly funny, maybe some social commentary in there too. Definitely edgy.
And then, completely different again, Hot Ted, a teen comedy starring Billy Magnuson, directed by SNL's Hannah Levy, and it's described as a serial killer teen comedy.
Wait, a serial killer teen comedy?
Yeah, pretty startling concept, right? Potentially very dark. Protagonist Pictures selling it at Cannes.
Wow, that's a high wire act, tonally. Blending teen comedy tropes with, well, serial killing needs a very specific touch. Having an SNL director suggests maybe satire.
Could be. It's definitely a gamble. And finally, just to clear things up for Buffy fans,
Yes.
Sarah Michelle Gellar herself stepped in to debunk some false reboot rumors that were floating around.
Oh, okay. What was being said?
Apparently, lots of incorrect stuff about plots, new characters. She basically said it was completely false and reassured everyone about the actual Hulu revival directed by Chloe Zhao.
Good to get that clarified. Shows how much passion there still is for Buffy, though. And Chloe Zhao directing. That adds a whole layer of artistic interest, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a good reminder to be skeptical of online rumors, especially for those big franchises.
Definitely.
Okay, let's maybe shift focus now to some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. Funding, discussions, talent support, that kind of thing.
Yeah, this is where you often see the real priorities and maybe tensions within the industry bubble up.
For sure. Like, in the UK, over 280 producers signed an open letter.
Wow, that many. What was it about?
They're urging BBC Film and Film 4 key public broadcasters, right, to prioritize local UK talent more in their funding.
Okay. What triggered it?
Concerns about them backing some films at Cannes that didn't have UK directors or significant UK production involvement.
I see. So it's that classic debate, support the domestic industry versus backing maybe bigger international projects.
Exactly. They're arguing it's vital to protect and nurture the UK's own indie film sector. It really highlights the role those public broadcasters play.
It's a constant discussion, isn't it? In countries with strong public broadcasting, their decisions have a huge impact on the local ecosystem.
Definitely. Then, on a more sort of individual level, Jeremy Renner revealed why Hawkeye didn't get a second season on Disney Plus Speed.
Oh, yeah. What was the reason?
He said he was offered a much lower salary. He actually used the word half of his original pay.
Wow. Half. That really pulls back the curtain on the financial side of streaming, doesn't it? Even for big names and big franchises.
Totally. Budget constraints, platform strategies.
Yeah.
It all affects the bottom line and ultimately whether a show continues.
It's rare you get that kind of transparency into the negotiations. Really interesting.
Meanwhile, still in the UK, the Culture Secretary, Lisa Nandy, has ruled out bringing in a streaming levy.
Oh, okay. Some people were hoping that would boost local production, weren't they?
Yeah, but her reasoning is fear of deterring investment in the UK.
A balancing act, then.
Seems like it. But she is looking at reforming BBC funding. She called the current license fee deeply regressive.
Right, that's been debated for years. Any specific ideas?
She mentioned exploring mutualization. Maybe giving license fee payers more direct say in how the BBC is governed.
That could be a really significant change. More direct influence on programming, priorities, potentially.
Potentially. But on a more positive funding note, Screen Scotland is relaunching its Project Post Fund
Okay.
with £1 million to attract major post-production work to Scotland, offering grants up to £100,000.
That sounds smart, focusing on post-production.
Yeah, and they said the pilot program was successful. It helped support HBO's The Penguin, for instance.
Nice. That's a really targeted way to boost a specific part of the industry, leverage existing skills there. Right. Could have good knock-on effects.
Seems like a strategic move. Okay, let's look now at some potentially new directions, maybe evolving models we're seeing in TV and film.
Yeah, this feels like a really dynamic area right now. Lots of change, adapting to audiences, tech.
Definitely. Doug Mankoff, he's the CEO of Echo Lake Entertainment. He put forward this really interesting idea.
What's that?
He thinks U.S. television is starting to look more like independent film in its principles.
How so? Like more creative freedom, flexible financing.
Exactly. More creative autonomy, flexible financing, more global co-productions, all driven by needing more diverse, unique stories. He pointed to their own shows, like The Great or the upcoming Sunny Nights.
That makes a lot of sense, actually, with the demand for niche content, stuff that doesn't fit the old studio mold.
Right. It suggests maybe TV production becoming less reliant on those traditional structures, more nimble, more like indie film.
Yeah, embracing those indie principles could definitely foster more innovation, more varied voices. And the global co-production thing reflects how we consume stuff now, right? It's all international.
Yeah. Totally. And building on that, Create London 2025 recently flagged that producers really need to look at direct-to-consumer options more.
Because traditional TV commissioning is slowing down.
Apparently so. They showed examples from big players, BBC Studios, UTA, Cowshed Collective, talking about bridging traditional and digital content, new ways to monetize, even setting up creator-led studios.
Wow, that feels like a potential power shift. Creators needing to be more entrepreneurial, less dependent on the old gatekeepers.
Exactly. It requires a different skill set, doesn't it? A direct relationship with the audience.
For sure. And speaking of fresh approaches, that first Paris Unscripted Showcase, PUSH,
Yeah.
they apparently made a point of emphasizing new, sort of European-flavored unscripted formats, stuff with local appeal, moving away from relying so much on celebrities.
Oh, interesting. Like what kind of formats?
Titles like City versus Country, The Country's Favorite Village, Ultimate Escape, Domination, even one called Cougar Island.
Cougar Island. Okay. But the broader point seems to be about community-focused stuff. Maybe more sustainable programming that taps into local culture.
Yeah, it feels like maybe a bit of a counter-movement to the huge, globalized celebrity reality shows, a desire for something more, I don't know, authentic,
Right.
relatable to specific places.
Could be. Interesting to watch. Okay, time for a genre that always gets attention. Horror and thrillers. Lots happening there, it seems.
Oh, yeah. Always popular, always finding new ways to creep us out.
Right. So Lionsgate is taking Rats to Cannes, a survival horror set in New York City during a massive rat outbreak.
Oh, God. Okay, that taps into a pretty primal fear, especially in a city setting.
Definitely. Got a producer from Pitch Perfect, weirdly, but also an exec producer from Smile, which makes more sense.
Yeah. The Smile connection suggests they're aiming for genuinely unsettling, using that ingrained phobia effective.
Then there's Rapture. Medieval horror this time.
Okay.
Set in a 14th century Yorkshire monastery during the Black Death. Stars Will Poulter, Kit Connor, Mona Rios.
Wow. Heavy setting. What's the horror element?
Sounds like a moral breakdown among the monks as the plague hits, but it also turns victims into undead revenants.
Whoa, okay. Historical plague horror plus zombies, basically. That could be intense. Setting it during the Black Death just amplifies everything. Fear, faith, survival.
Totally. Hanway Films is launching it at Cannes. Shudder, meanwhile, the horror streamer,
Yeah.
they've picked up a supernatural thriller called Good Boy.
Good boy. What's the hook?
It's about a dog that can sense a malevolent entity. Stars Larry Fessenden, Stuart Rudin genre regulars.
The seemingly innocent animal is the warning sign.
Oh.
They can be really effective, quite unsettling. Fits Shudder perfectly.
Seems like it. And speaking of Shudder, they're also premiering Hell Motel.
Okay.
It's a psychological horror series from the slasher creators. Stars Eric McCormack.
Eric McCormack. Interesting casting. What's the setup?
True crime fans staying at a renovated motel that has a really dark, disturbing past.
Ugh. The meta-horror thing. Playing on the whole true crime obsession. That's a popular space right now. Could be quite chilling if they get the tone right.
Yeah, tapping into that cultural fascination. And then there's Ruin.
That's the WWII thriller, right?
Yeah, with Gal Gadot and Matthias Schoenaerts. Set in post-war Germany.
What's the story?
A former concentration camp prisoner teams up with a German soldier to hunt down a surviving Nazi unit. Revenge plot. Nicky Caro directing.
Right. Setting a revenge thriller in that immediate post-war period, so much trauma, moral ambiguity. That's a really rich, complex backdrop.
Yeah.
Aiming to film in early 2026, you said.
Yeah, so it's still a way off.
Yeah.
But sounds powerful.
Definitely. And of course, that Keanu and Sandra Bullock untitled romantic thriller we mentioned earlier also fits this broader suspense trend.
True. That blend of romance and thriller, especially with them, is bound to pull people in.
For sure.
Okay, finally, let's just quickly touch on some international moves and talent shifts. It really shows how global the industry is now.
Absolutely. Talent, projects, money, it all flows across borders much more easily these days.
Yeah, like Marie Garrett moving from Pulsar Content to XYZ Films. She's their new SVP of Sales and Acquisitions based in Paris.
Right, focusing on multi-territory sales, co-productions.
Yeah.
That signals XYZ really pushing their international presence. Her experience there must be key.
Seems like it. And 1-2 Special, the New York distributor, they've hired Amanda Trocan and Nico Chapin just before Cannes.
To focus on festival films, right? International and U.S. ones?
Yeah. Suggests a strong market for those kinds of independent festival circuit movies. Be interesting to see what they pick up at Cannes.
Definitely. The festival circuit is still so vital for discovery.
And movement on the exec side, too. Colin Waters, formerly CFO at Vice Studios, he's joining STV Studios as CFO and strategy director, brings BBC Studios experience, too.
Okay, that's a solid background. Those kinds of moves often signal strategic shifts within companies, bringing in new perspectives.
Seems likely. Also, Diedrich Sander, he was at BritBox International, ran Kudos.
Yeah, strong track record in drama.
He's joined Sky as a commissioning editor for drama.
Ah, so Sky continuing to invest heavily in original drama then. That's a significant hire, given his past successes.
Absolutely. And Coleman Domingo making his directorial debut.
Oh, wow. What's the film?
It's called Scandalous. Stars Sydney Sweeney as Kim Novak and David Johnson as Sammy Davis Jr.
Whoa. About their relationship back in the 50s.
Exactly. Their forbidden 1957 romance during that whole Hollywood golden age scrutiny and prejudice, heading to Cannes for sales.
That sounds fascinating. A really complex, historically charged story. Bold choice for a debut, and great casting.
Definitely. Also out of Cannes, Global Constellation and WME Independent picked up sales for Lucky Lou.
That's the director's fortnight selection. About a delivery driver in Vancouver.
That's the one. Just shows again how festivals launch international films onto the global stage.
Yeah, that collaboration between sales agents highlights the path these films take.
Sky History has acquired something really interesting, too. An AI-driven docuseries about Nut, the Viking emperor.
AI-driven how?
Using generative AI to reconstruct his rise to power.
That's pretty cutting edge for historical docs. Visualizing the past like that opens up possibilities, but maybe questions about interpretation, too.
For sure. Beniji's added Boho to its slate. That's a Flemish dramedy about friends in Antwerp.
Right, showing that ongoing investment in diverse local European content. There's a global appetite for those specific cultural stories.
Seems so. And MasterChef is coming back to Pakistan after 11 years.
Wow, really? That shows the incredible staying power of those big formats, doesn't it? How adaptable they are globally.
Totally. And good news for emerging talent. The Grierson Trust announced its new cohort for the 2025 Doc Lab scheme.
Oh, excellent. Supporting diverse young talent in factual TV in the UK. That's so important for the future of docs.
Absolutely vital. And down in Australia, the Sunny Coast Showdown launched Showdown and Max, a $200,000 production prize for local Sunshine Coast creators.
Nice. Another example of those regional initiatives empowering filmmaking outside the big hubs. Really important for diverse storytelling.
Definitely. Okay, just a couple of other quick tidbits we saw.
Go on.
Apple TV Plus and Big Talk are making a final episode for that canceled Noel Fielding show, The Completely Made-Up Adventures of Dick Turpin.
Oh, to give it closure. Using existing footage.
Yeah, seems like a nice gesture for the fans, you know? Acknowledging their investment.
That is quite thoughtful, actually.
Rosa Salazar had to exit the CBS Einstein drama because of a delay, roles being recast.
Oh, shame. But yeah, scheduling conflicts, casting changes.
Yeah.
It happens all the time in TV production, unfortunately. Pretty standard stuff.
Yeah. Focus Features set October release dates for Yorgos Lanthimos' new one, Begonia.
Ah, with Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. The one about kidnapping a CEO who might be an alien.
That's the one. Sounds wonderfully weird, as you'd expect from Lanthimos. October release. Maybe positioning for awards.
Could be. Definitely one to watch. Quirky premise.
And lastly, Roku bought Friendly TV for $185 million.
Right. Expanding their streaming services. Yeah. Just shows that ongoing consolidation and competition in the streaming world, doesn't it? Platforms grabbing content, subscribers.
Yeah, the landscape keeps shifting. Phew, well, that was quite a journey through the recent headlines, wasn't it?
It certainly was. We covered a lot of ground, from, exciting talent pairings, both established and rising.
Right, to how content is actually made and distributed these days, which is constantly evolving.
Yeah, and those crucial ongoing talks about funding, supporting diverse voices, different kinds of stories.
Plus the enduring appeal of different genres, always morphing and changing.
It's amazing how much is always in flux. Hopefully this deep dive has given you a good, efficient way to grasp the current pulse of it all.
Yeah, a useful shortcut, we hope.
Absolutely. And thinking about all these trends we discussed, streamers adopting indie models, the direct-to-consumer push that focus on local content. It does make you wonder, doesn't it?
Wonder what?
Well, it leaves a pretty interesting thought for you, the listener, maybe to mull over. Looking ahead, what kind of content do you think will really become dominant in the next few years?
And how might that shift actually change the kinds of stories that get told? Or even how we experience them?
Exactly. It's definitely something worth pondering, where all this might be heading.
Indeed it is. Well, thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Until our next exploration, keep watching and keep thinking.